I want you to imagine this for a second. You sit down to code for just 1 hour. You open your editor, pull the latest changes, fix a small bug, write a few tests, push a commit. Simple, right? Then you look up and somehow 2 hours are gone. Most of that time didn't go into the hard thinking. It went into little things, writing commit messages, reading error logs, rewriting the same boilerplate, switching between tools, copying and pasting code into chatbots. That used to be my normal day. First, quick context, especially if you're not a full-time developer. Cursor with a special mode for coding. Instead of only chatting, you can connect it directly to your codebase. That means Cursor can see your files, understand your project structure, and run specific commands that you define.
Now let's go through the 10 commands that move the needle the most for me. The first one is a review command.
I call it review, but you can name it anything. Here's how I use it. I finish a chunk of work, maybe I changed files. In the past, I would skim my own changes, try to catch mistakes, and maybe ask a teammate for review later. Now I run the review command and Cursor instantly looks at my diff. It tells me things like, you introduced a possible null pointer here. It even suggests better variable names or simpler logic. One time, I pushed a change where I thought everything was fine. Cursor's review caught that I was logging sensitive user info in a debug line. That's the kind of mistake that can slip into production and cause real problems. A human reviewer might notice it or might miss it. Cursor caught it in seconds.
The second command that changed my life is a debug command. We all know the feeling. Something crashes and you get a big, ugly error message. You scroll, you read the stack trace, you Google part of it, you flip between files trying to guess what went wrong. With a debug command, I just grab the failing test or the error log, run the command, and Claude treats it like a mini investigation. It looks at the code, the error message, and explains in plain language what is likely happening and what I should try next.
The third command is all about tests. Testing is one of those things every developer says they care about, but many of us are bad at doing consistently. Writing tests takes time. Running them and reading the failures also takes time. My test-focused command does two things. First, it helps write tests. I point it to a file or function, run the command, and Claude generates a set of test cases that cover normal use, edge cases, and error cases. Second, when tests fail, the same command asks Claude to explain the failure and suggest a direct fix. A surprising fact here is how often this reveals missing coverage. In one project, I thought my code was very well tested. With the test command, Cursor pointed out that I never actually tested what happens when a user loses internet mid-request. We added that test, and literally the next week, a real user hit that exact problem. The bug was caught and fixed in hours instead of days.
The fourth command is a commit command. This one sounds tiny, but it adds up like compound interest. Every time I used to write a commit message, I would think, okay, how do I summarize this? With the commit command, Cursor looks at my changes and writes a clean, consistent commit message automatically. An average developer might make dozens of commits per week. Let's say you spend 1 minute per commit writing and editing the message. That's easily 30 to 60 minutes a week gone on typing short sentences. With this command, that becomes more like 5 seconds per commit. Over months, that is hours of your life back, and your history is cleaner and more readable.
The fifth command combines nicely with that, a push command. Normally, when you push your code to a platform like GitHub, there are several steps. You check status, stage changes, commit, maybe run tests, then push. Each step is tiny, but you repeat them all day. With a push-style command, I tell Cursor, look at my changed files, run tests if I want, generate a commit message, and push everything in one go. If tests fail, it stops and tells me. If they pass, the code is pushed, and I'm done. Before, doing all of that by hand might take 3 to 5 minutes. With this command, it's often under a minute.
The sixth command is a catch-up command. This is for the moments when you come back to a project after a break. Maybe it's Monday morning. Maybe it's a side project you haven't touched in 3 weeks. You pull the latest code and then stare at your screen thinking, okay, where was I? The catch-up command tells Cursor, summarize what changed since my last commit, show me important files, and explain in English what the current state is. It might say, since you last worked here, the login flow was refactored. A new payment method was added.
The seventh command is a documentation help. Most developers hate writing docs, but good docs save huge amounts of time for teams and for your future self. My doc command looks at a file or a component and generates clear explanations, usage examples, and sometimes diagrams in text form. The surprising fact here, 1 hour of good documentation saved dozens of hours for future developers. Most people skip it because it feels like extra work. With that extra work becomes a 2 to 3 minute task.
The eighth command is an init. It creates folders, starter files, and sometimes even simple examples to show how everything connects.
The ninth command is a refactor. Refactoring is cleaning up code without changing what it does. With a refactor command, I tell Cursor, focus on this file or folder and make the code cleaner, more readable, or more efficient, but don't change the behavior. It might split a giant function into smaller ones, rename confusing variables, or remove duplicate code.
The 10th command is about pull requests. A pull request is basically you saying, here are my changes, can someone review and approve? There's a description, a summary, sometimes a checklist.
PR descriptions takes time, but bad ones slow down your team. With I ask Cursor to prepare a summary of what changed, and any risks or testing steps. If you want more videos like this, where we don't just hype AI, but actually show you how to use it to save real time in your day, do two things for. First, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next deep dive. Second, drop a comment telling me which of these 10 commands you want a full step-by-step setup guide for. Your comment tells me what to make next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.